And this is just one of your policies. You want to bring these companies into the council again.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
what are they called? See,
well, it's a little bit confusing. So what you've got,
because AT is part of them too.
yeah. So I'll give it a really basic rundown for people who don't quite get it. When people say Auckland Council is all the departments that make the city run, and generally they tend to talk about the 20 councillors and the mayor, right? So there's 21 people, but they are completely separate to the departments and the executive. And a lot of the population still get a little confused by that. It's almost like, think of them as they're like a governing body that oversees a business, all right? So Auckland Council is those. But then you've got these separate entities called Auckland Transport, Watercare, Panuku, and Unlimited. So those are the 4 controlled organisations, and they're called CCOs, council-controlled organisations, but they're not.
They're not controlled by the
They're
council.
not controlled. They're left to do their own thing, and that's why Auckland Transport have just, reduced the speed on 1,600-odd roads, because...
Whose idea was that?
To
structure that?
The zealots inside Auckland Transport, and that's why I want to be mayor, so I can get rid of them.
Is this a Super City thing? Did this happen?
Yeah.
When they did Super
All
City?
happened as part of the Super City. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so it's not done right, and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be sorted out, and I'm happy to do that. But you've got to be in as mayor to do it. The advantage with the mayor, the position they have, and here's another thing about Auckland Council, is you've got those 21 people, including the mayor, so 20 councillors. They sit on committees. So what the mayor does is the mayor says, I want a committee to look after our parks. I want a committee to look after our climate change. I want a committee to look after... Well, there's 13 of them. I can't remember what they all are, right? So there's 13 committees. But the mayor can remove those committees, add more, and whatever. And then what the mayor does is chooses which of those committees are what they call committee of the whole, which means every councillor is sitting in that committee room, or whether it's just a handful of them. So you might pick 4 councillors and say, right, you're on that committee, and we'll pick park and arts, right? So your job is to look after the budgets for the parks and arts of Auckland City, and the rules and what's going to happen. That's your, and you meet once a month on this date at this time. That's your job, is on the committee. And so a lot of the councillors are on multiple committees, and so the committee meetings are never at the same time. And that's your job. That's what you're hired to do, or voted in to do, right? But the mayor sets who is on those committees. And there are 2 committees that are in charge of those council-controlled organisations.
2 committees? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's 2 committees, but they don't do anything because they're run by Phil Goff, and he just doesn't care. And thank goodness he's gone. He's out of here. He's retiring, so boof, gone. But if I'm mayor, I'll put in really good councillors on those committees, and those committees have a lot of power and will bring Auckland Transport back under control, because the committees control it. But at the moment, they just let Auckland Transport do whatever they want. They let Panuku do whatever they want. They let Auckland Unlimited do whatever they want. There's no oversight, So that's the job of those committees. So that's what I'll be doing.
So the way you'll change it is you'll get the communities to actually do something about these CEOs.
Yeah. Well, you got the councillors, right? And everybody knows that you're going to have some left councillors, you're going to have some right councillors, you're going to have some centre. So you'll have Labour ones, you'll have Green, you'll have, for want of description, call them National, whatever.
And these are the people that got voted in
for councillor.
to the board.
Councillor.
So
you got local board,
yeah,
councillors, mayor.
right.
3 segments. Local boards we'll worry about in a sec. So the councillors, there's 20 of them to cover Auckland. Them and the mayor make up the table of 21 people, so you get an 11-10 vote if there's a split. So the councillors could be 10-10, the mayor's the decider. Right? Makes it 11. I'll go on that side of things. So if you want to make these changes, you sort of, as the mayor, you can look and interview the councillors and know what they believe in. And if you've got a councillor that loves cycle lanes and wants to remove cars, well, I won't be putting them on the committee that has anything to do with Auckland Transport. They won't get that job. Right? They might try and lie to me during the interviews, initial setups. Doesn't take much to go through their background to go, this is where you voted, this is what you campaigned on, this is what you believe in. You're not on that committee. And that's the power of the mayor. Right? So if I find there's, say, 7 councillors that want to stop cycle lanes, that want to remove the speed humps, that want to speed up the roads again, that want to get rid of these road restrictions that have been put in, and I find those councillors, I'll be going, right, you're on the committee that's now in charge of Auckland Transport. That's what I'll do. So that's how we'll bring Auckland Transport under control. And there might be, the Art and Parks one. I might give that to the guy that loves cycle lanes. Okay, you can be on the parks thing, and you can make sure we don't chop down trees, and that the parks are kept up to spec, and that this is the budget you've got set, and where we can do things. So, yeah, that's the power of the mayor. That's one of the powers.
So it seems to me Phil Goff likes cycleways in that. He'll just let AT do what they want to do.
Which is exactly what happened.
He doesn't have to worry about it.
No. So what he did was the committee that controls Auckland Transport, Panuku, Unlimited and Watercare, that committee, he put 6 of his Labour councillors on the board, on that committee with him. And so together, they're a team, and they said, we love cycle lanes, we hate cars, you go for it, Auckland Transport, you do whatever you want. And they just hands off. Well, I'll be doing the opposite. So, yeah.
So you come in as independent. You've just got to deal with whoever
Yeah, you got no say in it.
gets voted in.
Look, if there's, say, 12 left-leaning councillors, you're in a lot of trouble. Well, I would be, because everything we try and do, they'd just vote against. They'd gang up. But that's what you got to deal with, and that's part of the job. And the way I do it is be open with the public. And that's part of the reason of being transparent to the public. And every fortnight I go and say, hey, okay, we just tried to push this through everyone, but these councillors, and I'll list them, I'll put them up on a graphic. These councillors did not want this to happen. So just remember that in 3 years' time, or 2 years' time, or 1 year's time, remember that. These councillors voted against it, even though you, the people, wanted it. There you go. And so you're covered. Even though you didn't get it through, the people will go, okay, we get this. This is why it didn't go through.